Hello and welcome. I'm your host, author Ryan M. Oliver, and this is the Mighty Books Podcast. This week's featured author is Arjay Lewis. Arjay Lewis is a multi-award winning author, entertainer, and magician. He has experienced every level of show business from street performer to Broadway. Arjay's novels have won over 30 awards. The Muse, a novel of unrelenting terror, won 14 awards in the horror category in book competitions. His urban fantasy novel, The Wizards of Central Park West, won 6 awards, including the coveted Eric Hoffer Award. He also is the author of the In the Mind series, which consists of 10 novels, with more to come. Arjay's published stories have appeared in H.P. Lovecraft Magazine of Horror, Weird Tales, and Sherlock Holmes Mystery Magazine. He also has been published in the anthology The Lacy Curtain Between Life and Death. He's collaborated on several films, including Down in Flames, the true story of Tony Volcano Valenci, which has won 7 film festival awards. His screenplay for Dummy, co-written with Pamela West, was the winning screenplay for the 2017 Golden State Film Festival. He is married to the author of romantic mysteries and young adult fiction, Deborah Snow. Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of the Mighty Books Podcast. Today with me, I have Arjay Lewis. Arjay, how you doing?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Good. I'm so glad to have you. It's been a while since we had a conversation. I'm super excited.
Yes.
For those who don't know, I got introduced to Arjay like a couple years ago when I was first starting on my author journey. So it's really great to actually interview him. So Arjay, we're here to talk about not just probably one book, because you have a whole collection, but what book are we talking about today?
We're talking about Digger today. Digger is my latest horror novel, which has yet to be released. And I have to say, this one was this one took longer than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's going to be a really fun read because it's got everything in it. The concept of Digger is that there is this man that is called in when you're concerned that the person being buried might not stay buried.
Oh, no.
So we got vampires, we got zombies, we got ghouls, and I make it very clear what the difference between zombies and ghouls is, because there's a lot of overlap in that, and I want to make sure that we go with the classic ones, plus some ancient Greek creatures like a Lamia, and just a whole bunch of mythology.
Oh, I love it.
And it's a very, very fun read.
That is cool. So just randomly curious, ghoul and zombie, what are the two differences? I know we all know kind of the stereotypical Romero zombie, but what is a ghoul? What's the difference there?
Well, the difference is simple. First of all, Romero, when he did Night of the Living Dead, he created the concept of zombies that eat people's brains.
Yes.
That's not a zombie.
Oh, okay.
The one that eats people is a ghoul.
Really?
That's an undead creature that eats people.
No way.
The zombie is a mindless automaton that has superhuman strength, because since it doesn't feel pain, it can lift things that would normally hurt or stuff. But since it's one of the undead, but they're slow, they're not smart, they have to be told what to do, but they are formidable. So it is interesting, the differences.
So the stereotypical or the traditional zombie versus traditional ghoul, Romero kind of took the two and combined them
together and focused on eating brains.
Okay.
So that became, World War Z and all these we've got all these zombie legends that zombies are these creatures that eat brains.
Yes, or flesh or whatever they want,
right.
Whatever they want to do. People in general.
Yes.
They're very tired.
Some parts are better than others. What can you say?
I will take their word for it. So what inspired this particular tale of horror?
As always, something real world inspired this. I read, there was this article online about a grave digger who was retiring, and he just had these really interesting stories. And I said, well, what if there was a grave digger who you called in for the undead? And that exploded the whole idea. And actually, the whole novel is taken place from the point of view of a lead character, Joshua Bennett, whose father used to work with the grave the gravedigger who goes by the nickname Digger.
Okay. Okay.
And he used to work with him, and now he dies under mysterious circumstances. So his son has decided that he wants to get revenge on the creature that killed him. So he seeks to find Digger to learn what killed his father and how he can take revenge.
Awesome. Very cool. Now I know from our past conversations, you write a lot of novellas. Is this a novel or a novella?
No, it's a novel. It's
Okay.
about going to come out to about 90,000 words. So it's
That's
a
solid novel.
big, solid novel. Yes.
I love those. Those are nice and juicy. Well, that sounds like a very interesting premise. I've noticed a lot of authors, the what if question turns into a what if novel, and then the novel ends up being not a what if, it's a solid fact at that point in time. So I'm glad that gets to work out for you. And I know for a fact that you have quite quite an assortment, or quite a large collection of books you've written. How many
Yes.
have you written?
Gosh, give me a moment. I think it's coming up on 20.
Oh my gosh.
I have 11 books in the Dr. Wise series, which is paranormal mystery.
Yeah.
Leonard Wise is a psychic who has actual psychic abilities, and he works with the police to solve really baffling crimes. It's scads of fun. So
Yeah.
I've got 11 books in that. I just finished the 12th book, which isn't released yet, but hopefully soon.
Yeah.
I've got 3 in my urban fantasy series, the NYPD Detective Wizard series,
Ooh.
the Wizards of Central Park West, which also has the Vampires of Greenwich Village and the Werewolves of Washington Square.
Love it.
So 3 very, very fun, tongue-in-cheek. There's some silliness, but there's also a good, strong story,
Yes.
which is also right now my strongest selling series. And then I've got 3 horror novels. Digger will be my 4th horror novel. And my horror novels are the ones that have won the most awards. I've won a total of 28 awards for my 3 horror novels.
Wow, that's incredible. Congratulations on that.
Thanks. That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Yeah.
fun.
How have you so your awards, actually, is one of my questions here, was how have your awards helped your authorship or changed your authorship? How has that helped you out?
Well, I really don't write to market. I really write what I want to write.
Yeah.
Although, I have nothing against people writing to market. It is a useful concept, but the awards I feel, give a sense of validation. I mean, when I release a book, and it's the first thing, a winner of, like, the Muse won 14 awards. That's the top line on the blurb, is winner of 14 awards.
Wow.
Because it's done really, really well, and it helps people to go, okay, well, if it's won these awards, it must be a good read.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah, it definitely gives you some validation and a little pat on the back for you, like, oh, I guess I did do a good job. This is great.
Yeah, I'm not as bad as writer as I thought. Oh, good.
We are our worst enemies as a writer. I'm going through the editing process now, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be terrible. I start reading. I'm like, why do I keep saying I suck? Because I'm actually okay. I got to fix a couple things, but it's amazing our brains just get in there. Do you have that same problem as an author? I mean, you've written so much.
All of us do.
Yeah.
When I get a book back from my editor and she points out incredibly accurately and minutely the errors that are wrong with it, I just feel like, why am I even bothering? I'm a terrible writer. It's obvious to everyone.
Yeah.
And, my wife is my first reader.
Mm-hmm.
And so I show her the thing and she goes, yeah, those things are right. And I went, so why didn't you say something? And she says, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Yeah, more eyes definitely help. That's why I say I definitely like to use some beta readers.
Oh, yes.
And then obviously the editor, that's like the end all be all. Mine actually has a partner that works with them too. So it's just more eyes on it, the better, I feel like. Now,
and plus your beta readers, when you're going to do a release, your beta readers, and ask them to point out mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And my beta readers always catch something that not only I missed, but my editor missed.
Wow.
There was an actual wrong name because I had eliminated a character, and there was the old character who no longer is in the book was in this line.
Oh, shoot.
And a beta reader said, I thought, who's this guy? And I
Oh,
went, oh, and I immediately fixed it. But both me and the editor missed it.
oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so hard. There's so many words. There's so many words. You're gonna miss
Some of
one.
those words.
There's so many words. It's a word forest. It's just a word forest.
That's it.
Yeah. So what got you into horror exactly? What got you into that genre?
I it's one of my favorite stories, and
Yeah.
it's all true, is I had never written horror before. And then in 1999, I had an idea for a horror short story that
Okay.
was called The Dark, and that actually got sold to Weird Tales. I actually got paid for that one after I finished it. But I started writing it, and it turned out pretty good. I was kind of like, oh, this is kind of a creepy little tale. And I ended up making that into a novel called Kept in the Dark, which is, 100,000 more words.
Oh wow.
But the next day I heard the news, because I could tell you which day it was June 6th, 1999. And the next day I found out that Stephen King got hit by a truck. And a weird thing happened to me. I went, wow, it's like something wanted that story written and he wasn't available,
Oh my gosh.
which became the concept for my first horror novel, The Muse, in which there is a creature that needs people to write horror. And it when its host gets injured, it seeks a new host until it finds someone who will write horror. And
Interesting.
and become a serial killer. So that was the kind of thing on top of it.
Parasitic parasite type creature who
Yes.
it gets its jollies off of writing horror. I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
So
beautiful.
it became and once I started down the track, I just I love the other stuff. I love the fantasy and I love the mysteries, but I really I got to come back and write a horror. And all my horrors tend to be standalones because I
Yeah.
just prefer it that way. It's
Yeah.
like once you've done it, there's really no reason to revisit it.
Yeah, and a lot of times you're killing off characters one by one because there's some horrific monster or event that's going on, and them coming back is kind of hard unless they're walking around mindless like a so
Like, would that be a zombie or a ghoul? Oh, I know.
it's a Zagambi or a ghoul or Gombi or not Gumby but a Gombi. It's just a terrible mishmash of different monsters.
Now I want to rewrite something in Digger because I kind of like that.
You're welcome.
I might use that line there.
Do it, use it, steal it. We'll know where it originated from, so it's all good.
Yes.
It's totally good. Now I'm assuming you've read quite a bit as in your personal life then.
Oh yeah, I've been reading Dean Koontz for 30 years,
Yeah.
Stephen King for 30 years. Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I have to say, my favorite is Koontz.
Yeah.
Although the most recent Stephen King fairy tale, if you have not read it, I listened to the audiobook of it, but if
Okay.
you have not, it is brilliant.
Really? Okay.
It is just a great book.
Okay.
And especially since you write the fantasy,
Mhm.
because it takes the trope of a fairy tale and just makes it real world,
I love it.
just wonderfully.
Yeah.
And it's a wonderful, wonderful book.
Awesome. I'll need to get on that. Stephen King has definitely been. I discovered him later in life. Like, I mean, just in the last few years, I actually started picking up his stuff and read. Like, oh my God, The Shining. I haven't read Doctor Sleep yet. Shining was amazing. I haven't watched the movie. I've only read the book. All of his Dark Tower series. That was just a huge undertaking. It took me about a year to get through everything.
Oh yeah.
Just because
that's a lot of books and they ain't that skinny.
No, they're not. There's like one or two that are I can't even say itty bitty. They're just standard novel size, and you have like the jumbotron
Wizard in Glass, which is like 300,000 words or something.
Yeah, it's insane. I read The Stand of his, which the unabridged version, and so it has an additional 110,000 words more than the originally published version. And it was just how he put things together to change the scene. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to incorporate some of this how I just loved it. It was ate it up, literally ate it up, and went to town doing some of that kind of a little bit of that here and there. And because I mean, fantasy is, it's supposed to be grand, but it's also got its scary,
Yeah.
creepy side. I mean, dragons and other terrible, amazing creatures can be kind of scary. So adding that element is just, I don't know, it helps out a lot. Now, when you're reading or when you're writing, actually doing projects, do you read much, or is it just solely you're writing?
No, I still read. I still have a reading schedule. And again, I always
Really?
have an audiobook in the car. Audio,
Nice.
always.
Oh,
Because as I still work as a magician, I still go
oh,
and do
really?
gigs. And when you're driving 2 and 3 hours, it's good to have an audiobook. So I catch
Yeah.
up with things.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. So actually, that was something I was going to ask too. Is I was reading your bio and saw that you're a magician and street performer, worked on an
Yes.
entertainer, worked on Broadway.
Yes.
So
I, I,
can you elaborate on that, please? Because it's fascinating.
Well, I started as a street performer because the guy who was my mentor, who's someone no one's ever heard of except the magic community, and everybody knows him, a guy named Chris Capehart.
Okay.
I saw him street performing, and a year later, I started street performing, ran into Chris, and he became my mentor for the like next 5 years of my life. And a
Wow.
lot of my comedy and things were influenced by him. And I was street performing, and I was seen by a casting director for the Broadway company of Barnum, and they needed someone to be a Barker character. And I came in, got the part, and within a few months, I was in the show as well.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I learned to juggle, I learned to walk stilts, and that served me very, very well for many years. I've been able to make a living doing all these different things
That's
that I learned.
that's a great. You said even in your street performer entertainment skill set, that's how you met your wife too.
Well, as a magician, yeah,
As a
but I
magician.
no
Oh,
longer
okay.
had to street perform because I just got gigs,
Nice.
and when you start getting out there and learning the business, it's like any other business. You got to learn to promote yourself, sort of like what we have to do as authors.
Yeah.
We have to promote ourselves. We have to let people know that we're out there. And because of that, I would just go from gig to gig, and people knew me and would hire me. And that's how I ended up with the job at the Taj Mahal. Someone knew me and hired me. And then I met my wife, and,
Uh,
it's been great.
yeah. Not Taj Mahal, India.
No, Taj Mahal in Atlantic City, and it's no longer there. It's now
Okay.
the Hard Rock
Okay.
Casino.
Okay.
It stopped being the Taj Mahal years ago.
Okay. I figured because I know I knew that, but I had to clarify for listeners just in case.
Yes.
Now, so are you also a horror film guy too? Or most
Not as much, because I have to be honest. Most horror films are bloodier than I would like.
okay.
I'd
Okay.
rather read about it and skip over the icky parts.
Yeah.
Stephen King is famed for saying, if I don't scare you, I'll make you want to puke. So he's he's very much. It's like, yeah, I can see he likes that. Yeah, I can see that.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. So you like the kind of creepy, suspenseful stuff more than you do like the gore.
Yes,
I,
and I like character driven is
oh yeah,
that's why I like Kuntz so much.
yeah,
Dean Kuntz, everything is incredibly character driven, and I think
yeah.
that's very important for a horror novelist. And I think it's why my horror novels done so well. It's
Hmm.
because it's all about the people,
Yeah.
and getting you to identify with the people.
Hmm.
Because if you don't identify with the people, if the reader identifies with the characters, they'll follow you anywhere
Oh
into
yeah.
the most insane concepts. But if they're flat, and if you're telling instead of showing,
Yeah.
people aren't going to be involved.
Yeah, you've got to really paint them a visual picture as best as possible. And I found even like my expectations have risen so much more since starting all this, because you can even do small things to increase that show and tell,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Or that show, less tell. And it just takes some fine tuning, and over time it can really be a game changer. It really be a game changer.
And plus, I still do a lot with dialogue,
Yeah.
because
Oh, good.
as an actor and as a performer, I hear the characters and the different ways they speak, and And I think that makes a huge difference. But you got to have the correct mix. You can't have too much dialogue, and you can't have too little. So the trick is to find a balance.
I agree. I agree. I found I used to be a big scenery writer, and now that I've gotten older, and I found that we enjoy the human interaction, and that includes talking. So I find that dialogue is just so much more satisfying to do than scenery writing. Like, it's necessary. You have to set the scene. They can't just be some white or black void. They have to be doing something. But having that conversation, that actual connection, the quick wit, and someone who's a little ignorant on a subject or who's way too smart. It's just fun to write that, like those personality things, those traits.
Yes.
I personally love doing. Which do you prefer, dialogue, scenery, or do you kind of enjoy both?
I enjoy both. I'll rewrite my scenery a lot more than I'll rewrite my dialogue, because the dialogue that comes very natural to me.
It does.
Also with, I have a scene in Portland, Maine in Digger, and the guy's talking to, and I'm able to write out, well, they all came up, hey, and you got to write that out in a way that people hear the accent in their own head.
Yeah.
But you can't overdo it, because it'll make it unreadable.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Actually, that's funny. There is, it was one of Roald Dahl's book, kids' books. He did Charlie and Chocolate Factory and The Big Friendly Giant. They're for young kids, right? But my wife loved The Big Friendly Giant when she was in elementary school, and I said I had never read it. She goes, "You need to read it. Just, if you want to be married to me still, you need to read this book." I said, "All right, fine. I'll read the book." It was good. I really enjoyed it, but they use they don't use real words. The dialogue, and it threw me off. That took away from the story itself, and it killed me. But it didn't ruin the book for me, but I can see how someone emphasizing something too much in a book can definitely take away from the point or the story or the character, because it kind of irked me a little bit, and I had to fight through it a bit. So,
well, it's, you have to have enough so that the people hear like an accent, like in the Dr. Weiss series. I've got his mentor is Fritz Kohl, who's German. And mostly I do that with the W's to V's.
Oh, yes.
And that's about it. And it's enough for people to get it without beating them over the head with it.
You're not speaking German to them. It's just him trying to acclimate to the English language.
Correct.
Now, I also read something about you collaborated on films.
Yes, I've been very lucky with that. I have a film that's out there, and you can see it on Amazon. You can buy it there for, I don't know, a couple of bucks. It's called Down in Flames: The True Story of Tony Volcano Valenci.
Okay.
Who's a fire eater who wants to set a world record by fire eating while skydiving.
What?
And in it, we have people who actually are world record holders. Todd Robbins, who's eaten over 5,000 light bulbs in his lifetime, and the great Throdini, who's the world's fastest and most accurate knife thrower. And there are all these people who are friends of Tony. But it's a mockumentary. Tony doesn't exist. I played Tony in the movie. So the whole point is his struggle to achieve this goal. And the movie has won, I think a total of 10 awards. We won best of the, it's only a half an hour long. It's a 30-minute short film.
Okay.
And if you like variety skills and carnival skills,
sure,
and fire eating, there's a lot of fire eating in the movie. You should see this movie. You'd really get a kick out of it. And if you like things like This Is Spinal Tap, it's that kind of film.
Man, oh my gosh, I've got to check that out. I'll list that in the comments and notes and everything. That way people can check that out. That's
great.
Awesome.
It's a great deal of fun.
Oh my gosh, I bet. How long did it take you guys to do that?
We shot that in 10 days.
Wow.
It was quick. We did a lot, and there's a lot that we were there. There's like we could have really made a full-length movie, because there was enough leftover footage. from all the craziness, because I have these two instructors who are teaching him skydiving, and we just improv the whole thing, and it became sillier and sillier. It just
Oh,
really is hilarious.
I find that so improv is amazing. Like I bow down to the improv kings. Like I mean, there's just a couple of improv guys. Was it Colin Mockery, Ryan Stiles, those guys from Who's Line, and
Yes.
Wayne Brady, those guys. I'm
Oh
just like
yeah.
in awe of how they like. No, they've got to be writing that down. Like no, that's just off the top of their noggins in the middle of something. So if you can improv even halfway that way, I applaud because I no. I have
My
to
major endeavor was trying not to crack up.
oh
That
gosh,
was,
sure.
and sometimes I just did. So
And it might have been natural kill. We're gonna keep that anyway because it's just
yeah,
good stuff.
we'll
Uh
we'll focus. We'll cut you out of the shot so we can't see you
yeah.
laughing. There you go.
Yeah. Comedy is so hard sometimes. What makes you laugh doesn't always make what other people laugh. And I find that
Yes.
if you try to make things funny, half the time it's not. And so like I've got another story I'm working on. It's so in its infancy right now. But my brother and I like to just give each other a hard time because we're brothers and we can. And
Yeah.
so we throw insults at each other because it's fun. That's how we talk. It's
Mhm.
how we say we love each other, really. And he's got a couple good ones. I got a couple good ones. I hear from other people, and I'm like, oh, that's good. This is gonna go in here because that's just off the top of their head. And I just start shoving it into dialogue and a couple little personality traits of characters. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is just way better. When it's off the top of your head, it's genuine,
Mhm.
way funnier than it is if you try to make it
Yes.
hilarious. At least with what I found. As a very experienced author, and you've talked,
Woohoo.
I know, very experienced. Well, you're more experienced than I am. You've had a lot more books out, that's for sure. Doing it for a lot longer than I have. I came to you for advice. What's some advice that you would give a new author, an aspiring writer who wants to become an author? What's something or some things you would tell them if they came and asked you for help?
Okay, the first thing I would do, I'd cover the writing thing, which is if you have a problem with writer's block, you should get The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. They've got techniques that will get you past it.
Okay.
So that's the first thing for the actual writing. And the second thing on that would be write every day. Now, the other things are the marketing. Always hire, always hire a designer to do your covers. Don't do them yourself. Just don't. There is so many bad covers that I see every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just and it's like, well, that person's self-published.
Mm-hmm.
Bite the bullet, and they're really not that expensive. The third thing is hire an editor who really kicks your rear end. I had my first editor just edit it, fixed words. My current editor kicks my rear end, gives me a report telling me everything wrong that I'm doing. and she's right.
Yes.
And I love this woman. It's like if I weren't already married, I mean, I just adore the fact that it just tells me how terrible I am. But she gives me a pathway to where to go and how to correct.
Excellent.
And build yourself a mailing list. Get on, they got the mailing list things. MailChimp is what I use. Send out to people on about a monthly basis, unless you're doing promos. Sign up with BookFunnel, where you can join promos and you can send people your beta copies and your novellas so that they sign up for your mailing list.
Yeah.
So great. BookFunnel's a really great resource, and email service like MailChimp, very good, and they all work together.
Yeah.
Very big. You want to build your email list. My email list is about 5,000 at this
That's
point.
excellent.
So, and it's still growing because I'm always doing promos. I don't do as many promos as I used to because they don't have the kick that they did about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I still think they're good. They're still increasing my mailing list with good numbers, and I'm still getting people on my books.
Good.
The other thing I would say is take an Amazon ad class. I just came up with 2 magic ads after putting up ads that did nothing for years. I created these 2 ads that are magic.
Yeah.
And suddenly the last few months, I've made about $1,300 in book sales
Wow.
from these 2 ads.
Oh my goodness.
And I can't exactly say why those 2 ads work, but I'm extending them because they're still working. So
it ain't broke, don't fix it.
yes. And it's really, it has a very nice return on what I'm spending.
That is awesome.
So those are my major, what I recommend, from the writing to the marketing.
Yes.
That's the list of things I recommend.
Excellent. Okay, everyone, make sure you have your notepads and you write all this down, because I'm taking notes too. So I'm always trying to learn more and more and more about marketing, because marketing is my Achilles heel. I love to write, but marketing this is a part of marketing that I enjoy, the podcast, and get to know people, but the actual like technical, what he's doing, I have to learn more. It's just all about learning, and you're not going to learn this stuff overnight. That's the thing. It's taken me years just to get where I'm at now, as I'm sure it was the same for you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tools will evolve. Different outreaches will work better than some years other than others. It really just about getting familiar with what's out there. So,
and having a giveaway novel. I not only have giveaway novels, I have giveaway audio books of one of the novellas.
Right.
And now I'm going to do the other novella, so that if you sign up for my mailing list, you can download the audiobook if you're like me and you spend all of your time in your car.
Which a lot of people do nowadays. I've actually talked to many friends of mine who are audiobook heavy. They love to read, but with just how busy everyone is, fixing this, kids and spouse and activities and living, sometimes on the go is the way to go. So, and you can't read and drive at the same time. As much as cool as that would be, I wouldn't get very far.
No, yeah. one thing or the other would suffer.
Yeah, definitely would probably be the reading, unfortunately. So at the end of the day, where can we get copies of your books? All of them. Get them all.
Well, of course, I've got everything on Amazon. Mm-hmm. Remember, for your audience, it's not just the letter RJ, it's ARJAY, because there's a best-selling romance writer, and her name was Arjay Lewis, and she published before me. So I had to go with ARJAY, because I don't want you to look for me and get a romance if that's not what you're looking for.
No.
And I'm on Amazon. I'm on Barnes and Noble. My first book in the Dr. Wise series, Fire in the Mind, is free. Sweet. And it's also on Smashwords and Kobo and every other place, because it's free, and you can download it from there and see if you like it. And then if you like it, you can get the rest of the series on Amazon.
Fabuloso. And I need to sink my teeth into some more horror. When I find some time, I want to definitely do that. You've got a bunch of novellas around. I mean, how big are your novellas? I'm just curious.
They're about 25 to 30,000 words. So they're a good enough read without being too much.
Yeah, I can get pretty quick.
I've got 2 novellas that I give away that are both Dr. Wise series for people who get hooked on the series. And I have my collection of short horror stories, which comes out to about 40,000 words. And these were stories that were in Weird Tales and H.P. Lovecraft Magazine of Horror that all got published, and then the rights referred back to me, and so I turned it into this collection.
Amazing. Oh, I love anthologies. Those are so fun too.
Yeah,
there's so many good, nice stories all in one beautiful binding or digital. Do you have any physical copies, or are they all digital?
All of my books are available in paperback. All of them are. The novellas, no, the novellas are just electronic form.
There's a lot of people who like both. So get both of them. Get all of the books, just all of them. I'm a, what do you call it? I'm a lover of books. So just buy them all, store them, read them, give them to friends, all that stuff. So can they buy from you directly and you can sign for them, or do you do any of that?
When I'm doing a public appearance, I can do it there. Awesome. But the situation, I do have my printed books, in my bookshelves behind me over here. But mostly it's electronic books. I certainly, if someone bought a paperback and sent it to me, I would be delighted to sign it and send and pay to mail it back to them.
Excellent.
So
I'd probably do it. I'm weird. I love all the signatures. All right. Well, RJ, thank you so much. This is such a fun conversation. It
sure.
flew by.
Yes.
Yes, good times. It's great to connect, and thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule of performing magic and writing and marketing all your books and getting out there. So I appreciate it very much. So,
and Ryan, I'm very excited about your next book coming out. So, I'm a fan of yours. So please, awesome. I can't wait to see it.
I appreciate that very much. I love hearing that. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to this wonderful interview. And please go get his books. They're fabulous. From everybody here, you guys have a great day. Remember to stay mighty and keep reading. Are you an author? Do you know someone who is? If so, then message me, Ryan Oliver, at ryanmoliver.com to set up a free appointment to discuss being showcased on the Mighty Books podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to the Mighty Books YouTube channel and share the link to this and more episodes with your friends and family. Thanks for listening. So long for now. Stay mighty and keep reading.